This story is not just about headlines. It's not just about powerful people in expensive suits. It's about you. It's about your family sitting at the dinner table wondering who to trust. It's about your wallet, your job, your retirement savings, and whether the system you pay into is actually working for you. Because when major revelations surface about the Jeffrey Epstein case, it doesn't stay confined to courtrooms. It spills into elections. It shakes financial markets. It changes conversations in your workplace. And now, a new wave of so-called QAnon experts are claiming they have uncovered something big, something they say shifts the narrative once again. You've seen this story evolve for years. You've watched names surface. You've heard promises of full transparency. And each time you're told, this is the moment. But this time feels different. Online communities are exploding with renewed energy. Influencers who built massive followings on decoding hidden messages are pointing to fresh court movements, newly discussed documents, and renewed political tension. They're saying a major turn is unfolding. But what does that actually mean for you? Is this another viral rumor cycle? Or is this a signal that deeper investigations are entering a new stage? Tonight, we break it down step by step, in plain language, so you can decide for yourself. No jargon, no noise, just what's happening, why it matters, and how it could impact your future. Stay with me, because this story builds, and the final pieces may surprise you. The Epstein case. Why it never goes away. To understand why this moment is exploding again, you need to understand why the Epstein case refuses to fade. Jeffrey Epstein was arrested in 2019 on federal charges related to sex trafficking. His connections stretched across politics, business, academia, and entertainment. When he died in custody, officially ruled a suicide, public trust fractured overnight. People weren't just asking what happened in that cell. They were asking who else was involved. Who knew? Who benefited? Who escaped consequences? And that's where the conspiracy ecosystem grew rapidly. The idea that powerful elites were shielding one another fueled movements online, including followers of the broader QAnon ideology. Every time court documents surface, every time a deposition is unsealed, every time a witness speaks publicly, the fire reignites. And this week, that fire surged again. Online analysts who identify themselves as QAnon researchers claim new legal maneuvers and renewed political commentary indicate unfinished business behind the scenes. For everyday Americans, this constant cycle creates emotional fatigue. You want accountability, you want closure, but you also want stability. When major cases remain unresolved in the public eye, trust in institutions weakens. And when trust weakens, markets wobble, political divisions deepen, and your sense of security takes a hit. That's why this latest development is getting attention, because people aren't just watching for drama. They're watching to see whether the system can actually deliver transparency, or whether this saga will once again leave more questions than answers. What QAnon experts are claiming now? Let's be clear, there is no official body called QAnon experts. The movement is decentralized, but certain online commentators have built reputations within those communities for interpreting court activity and political messaging. This week, several of those figures began highlighting renewed discussions around sealed records and legal appeals connected to Epstein's network. They argue that procedural moves in related civil cases suggest additional disclosures may be coming. Some claim insiders are preparing for reputational fallout involving individuals who were previously only mentioned in passing. Now, here's where things get critical for you. None of these claims are verified as proof of new criminal charges. They are interpretations of public legal processes. But in the digital age, interpretation can spread faster than fact. And when thousands, sometimes millions, of people believe a bombshell is imminent, it changes the information landscape overnight. Markets react to uncertainty. Campaigns react to controversy. Newsrooms shift resources. If you're an investor, a small business owner, or someone with retirement savings in the market, waves of political turbulence can ripple outward. Even if no new charges materialize, the expectation of upheaval can create volatility. So while online communities frame this as explosive, the responsible question remains: what is documented and what is speculation? That distinction matters more than ever. The legal reality behind the headlines. Behind every viral claim is a slower, less dramatic legal process. Court filings, appeals, civil suits, and defamation disputes tied to Epstein's associates continue to move through the system. Some documents have been unsealed over time, revealing names and interactions. But being named in documents is not the same as being charged with wrongdoing. This is where confusion spreads easily. Legal transparency can look dramatic without necessarily introducing new criminal revelations, and when commentators frame procedural steps as earth-shattering events, expectations skyrocket. For your family, what matters is whether these processes result in concrete outcomes: charges, convictions, policy reforms, or institutional change. So far, much of the movement has been incremental. That doesn't mean nothing is happening. It means the justice system moves carefully, often slowly. If additional disclosures occur, they will likely emerge through official court channels, not coded messages online. Watching verified sources is crucial. In high-profile cases like this, misinformation can cost more than credibility. It can destabilize trust across communities. And when trust erodes, everything from elections to economic confidence feels the strain. That's why separating drama from documentation isn't boring. It's powerful. Why this resurfaces during political cycles. Notice the timing. Every time a major election cycle approaches, the Epstein story seems to resurface with intensity. That's not accidental. Political campaigns thrive on narratives about corruption and elite protection. The case provides emotional fuel. Supporters of various movements often use it to argue that entrenched power structures protect themselves. Opponents use it to demand systemic reform. Either way, the story becomes a political instrument. For you, that means your newsfeed may become more aggressive, more sensational, and more polarized. Candidates may reference accountability. Commentators may hint at impending exposure. Social media algorithms amplify whatever sparks outrage, and outrage drives engagement. But engagement doesn't always equal clarity. The more emotionally charged the environment becomes, the harder it is to distinguish strategic messaging from verified development. If you're trying to protect your financial stability, understanding this pattern matters. Political volatility can affect regulatory conversations, business confidence, and even consumer behavior. The Epstein narrative isn't just about the past, it's about how power is framed in the present. The financial ripple effect. You might wonder, how does a criminal case affect my wallet? Directly, it may not. But indirectly, high-profile scandals can influence public confidence. Confidence influences markets. Markets influence retirement accounts, business loans, and hiring decisions. When institutional trust dips, investors grow cautious. When political rhetoric escalates, corporations prepare for regulatory shifts. It's subtle, but real. If renewed Epstein disclosures trigger political investigations or hearings, media cycles will intensify. That attention can overshadow economic policy discussions. Lawmakers may pivot messaging. Campaign funding narratives can change. You don't need to panic, but you do need awareness. Emotional reactions often drive financial mistakes. Viral headlines can make people sell investments impulsively or retreat from long-term planning. Staying grounded is your advantage. The misinformation factor. One of the biggest risks in this moment isn't hidden documents. It's misinformation. The Epstein case has become fertile ground for fabricated lists, altered screenshots, and recycled rumors. When self-described experts predict massive revelations and nothing immediate follows, frustration grows. That frustration can be redirected into even more extreme claims. It becomes a cycle. For your family, the key is verification. Ask, is this coming from an official court record? Is it reported by multiple credible outlets? Or is it a single viral thread? In today's digital environment, emotional certainty spreads faster than documented fact. Protecting your mental bandwidth is as important as protecting your finances. Could real accountability still happen? Here's the question many Americans ask quietly. Will there ever be full accountability? The honest answer is that complex investigations tied to powerful networks take years, sometimes decades. Civil cases continue, survivors continue speaking out, journalists continue investigating. The process isn't flashy, but it persists. Real accountability doesn't arrive as a cinematic reveal. It arrives as indictments, settlements, legislative reforms, and documented evidence. That may not satisfy those expecting dramatic exposure events, but steady legal progress often matters more than viral predictions. What you should watch next. If major developments occur, they will likely appear through official filings, court announcements, or confirmed investigative reporting. Watch for concrete actions, new charges, court rulings, or legislative hearings. Avoid countdown-style speculation promising instant revelations. High-stakes cases rarely unfold on dramatic timelines. Stay informed, but don't let uncertainty control your decisions. Your financial planning, your career choices, and your family's future deserve stability, not reactionary swings. At the end of the day, this isn't about online personalities claiming insider knowledge. It's about whether institutions deliver justice transparently and consistently. You deserve accountability, you deserve clarity, but you also deserve stability and truth, not endless suspense loops designed for clicks. So here's the takeaway. Stay informed, verify before reacting, and protect your peace. If real developments break, we'll cover them clearly and responsibly, because your future, your family's future, depends on staying sharp in an era of noise. And in moments like this, informed citizens hold the real power. Stay tuned, stay aware, and stay ready for what comes next.